Hey y'all, it is the lady coming back with another video about life lessons, specifically relationship advice or relationship tips from a healed divorced person. So this series continues on, but today we are talking about people who are separated, tips for those who are separated. So let's get right into it. Please subscribe if you haven't. I keep forgetting to say that, so I'm gonna say it at the beginning, okay? Listen, separation is one of the most difficult positions to be in. Even if you want the separation, even if you're the one who initiate the separation, it is incredibly difficult. Okay. Let's break down a little bit though the types of separations that we can talk about. Okay. We know the traditional is when you're married and then you separate, whether legally or just an agreement between you two, meaning someone leaves the household and the relationship is cracked. Okay. That is the main separate type of separation we're talking about. There's also separations where both partners still live under the same roof, but they sleep in separate beds, sleep in separate rooms. If they got multiple floors, one person has one floor, another person has another floor. They are separated, but for usually financial reasons or sometimes because of children, they stay under the same roof. Then we have the separation, the type of separation where it is a married couple who do not live under the same roof, but they're still in a relationship. Okay. It's a type of separation. It's a type of, it's complicated scenario, but they're still married. They're still together, but they do not live under the same roof. And people have reasons for that type of scenario. I know more than one couple who has that type of situation. Okay. They're not together and they've been married a long time. Okay. So we can talk about that a little bit later, but for the purposes of this video, we're talking about people who are married and who are separated and they actually leave the household and the relationship for the most part, but they're not divorced. Okay. Also, this could apply, and I'm just going to say for those who are not officially married, but they are in committed, monogamous, long-term relationships, live-in relationships, and they separate. Okay, let's get into it. First of all, understand if that is your story, you are not in a normal state of mind, especially if it is relatively fresh, it's been some months, a year plus, whatever the case may be. You are in an abnormal state of mind and state of being. Okay. Because you are at a crossroads. You're in between. You're in the gray. You're not black. You're not white. You're somewhere in between. And that can be a very challenging position to be in. Okay. Even to have the discussion with people as you're moving about life. Okay. Because it's either, people already know you and they know that you're married. So they're, oh, where's such and such? How they doing? Blah, blah, blah. And you have to decide whether you're going to kind of share that, well, we're not actually together right now, or you have to kind of get around the question and keep it pushing as much as possible. It can be incredibly awkward, okay? And also challenging because you are used to life and doing life with your partner. And now you're in this in-between gray area, especially if you are in the place where you don't know what's going to happen. I looked up an article or some stats on separation. And according to sources like Psychology Today, 10 to 15%, up to 20% of couples who separate reconcile. You hear what I said? So that means, let's just use the number 20% reconcile after separation, which means 80%, the overwhelming majority of couples who separate, they end up with a permanent breakup, i.e., divorce, or just going their separate ways if they are not officially married, okay? But they were living together. So this is once you separate from someone, it is a not something to take lightly. And it's also something that could potentially separate you from the person permanently. Now, it also does say that about 6% of those couples who do reconcile, of that 20%, about 6% of them actually remarry. Okay. So they may have gone all the way through the whole process of divorcing, or, just completely not being together if they, were living together or something like that. Not condoning it, but it's real. Okay. About 6% of them reconcile and remarry. Okay. With that being said, because you are in an abnormal state, if you are separated, take long pauses before you make decisions. That includes where you're living, the length of a lease or rental agreement, okay? Whether I know some people that went into separation and they actually bought another place, that's really sending a message to your spouse if you buy a separate place, that you're done, okay? Who you involve yourself with, who you surround yourself with, what type of socializing you're doing, what type of things you're intaking into your body, self-medicating, okay, during this period of time. Because there are people, and many of us, it's almost human nature, that you don't really want to feel the fullness of what you're actually going through, especially if it's something that you don't necessarily want, or it's something that you did not sign up for. Most people who get married got married to stay married, okay? Most people didn't go into it with, I'll try it out. There's a very few people that got that kind of whatever mindset, but most people, they go into it thinking and wanting it to last, okay? So if you find yourself separated, there's a lot that's churning inside of you, okay? And depending on who you are, you may not want to go through that with a sober mind. And I mean that literally and metaphorically, okay? There are people that during this period of time, they are trying everything they can to not fully feel what they're going through, okay? I don't encourage that, by the way, okay? That can be a very dangerous place to be self-medicating, okay? But that's the reality of this type of situation when you're going through a separation, okay? Because of that, this is my second tip. Give yourself a healthy balance. Sorry, it's a siren. Give yourself a healthy balance of grace as well as accountability, okay? Grace, because I just said you are not in your normal state of mind. You're not in your normal state of being, whether you realize it or not. And let me also tell you, you may not realize it. You may feel completely and fully present and like you know exactly what you want and what you don't want. You know that you're done or you're not done. Most people think they're done, okay? Most people think they're done, okay? But maybe not, okay? You are in an abnormal state of mind. Give yourself grace. But again, you also need to have accountability, and whether that's internal accountability or surrounding yourself with people that are going to help you walk through this season. Okay. Leading to the next one, speaking of accountability, regardless of the reason why you're separated, if you're married, you are still married. You are still legally bound to someone. So it is best if you honor that position. You may feel like, I'm done, it's over with, we've been separated for a year, we've been separated for however long, but the reality is that you are still legally married, okay? And until you change that status, you need to honor the fact within yourself, for your spouse, for any other person that you're interacting with, that you need to honor that fact. I encourage anyone who is separated to move with caution, okay? Because it is so easy to make bad decisions during separations. There's a lot of emotions. Those emotions may be anger, indifference. I'm free now. I've been on lockdown for however many years, and now I'm not with this person. So, well, you may not physically be with them, but until the situation is resolved, you are still officially married. Okay? So, I don't care how you feel. I don't care if you think it's over with. Until it is officially over, it's not over. And I'm going to move on, but I want to make sure that I really reiterate that point, because there's a lot of people that, because they're separated, they try to act like they're straight up single, and you're not. You're not. You're not straight up single. When I was separated for nearly 2 years. I was not single. There came a point where some people immediately take off their wedding ring or whatever. Well, I didn't immediately take off my wedding ring because I knew I wasn't single. But it was a very strange space to be in, especially for a person who has been fully committed to their marriage. Okay. It is an extremely strange place to be in. I would say, again, give yourself grace, give yourself time. If you, no matter what the reason why you're separated is, give yourself grace. And if you want to continue to wear your wedding ring, that doesn't make you a fool. It doesn't make you stupid or, looking crazy. Even if your spouse isn't, if you want to continue wear your wedding ring, there's honor in that, because you are actually still married. Okay. During this period of time, try not to make any decisions that will have regrettable results, residual effects. How many times have we heard about these breakup babies? Oh, well, we broke up and you hooked up with somebody else. Okay, breakup babies, hooking up with someone else and not taking the proper precautions, or, doing whatever you're doing. And then now there's a child that comes out of that temporary situation, because you end up getting back together with your spouse or your long-term partner or whatever. How many times have we heard those situations? Now, not only did you have the original issues that caused the separation in the first place, now you have more baggage, and now another third, fourth party that is now involved, because the baby is also a party. The baby is also a party. So it just it just complicates things even further. So be very cautious about the decisions that you make and the long-term effects of those decisions. I would also put in there rebound relationships. I don't know. Um, most people have experienced rebound relationships. And I've talked about this before where, I was warned about it, but I didn't think that I would ever be susceptible to that. But again, you're in an abnormal state of mind, okay? You're in an abnormal state. And when I say that, means that you're extremely vulnerable, and most people are trying not to feel what they're actually going through, okay? So be very, very aware of that fact. The rebound relationships, okay? And then I think that one of the major things, especially if there's children involved, really move with caution during a separation. Move with caution, because it could be temporary, but you could push it into the never land space if you make certain moves and decisions during that separation period that irreparably damages that relationship. So now you have children involved that has to go through this whole situation of, parents breaking up, divorcing. Is just not, it's not a good look. Okay. And you want to be mindful of that, even if your children are adults, because how you move and how you interact and how you treat your spouse during separation, and unfortunately, if it ends up going into divorce, will have an effect on your relationship with your children. It will. So, as the adults, as the parents, whether you have adult children or whether they're minor children, it is your responsibility to protect your children, even your adult children. This means don't put them in a position to choose or have to choose sides because you acting a fool. Don't put them in that position. It's not right. It's not fair. They didn't ask for any of that. It's already bad enough if things have been going on in the relationship that has affected them, which it has. It has. Okay? Now, be mindful of this gray, weird space that you and your spouse are not only in, but the children are in. A lot of people that are going through separations and breakups, they are very self-centered. So they are not thinking about how the situation is affecting the children. And some of them take it to an extent where they are saying and doing things to the other spouse that is very detrimental and traumatizing to those children, those even adult children. Again, be mindful of the big picture. If the marriage is over, if the relationship is over, okay, it is what it is. But you cannot afford not to think about the long-term effects of how you behave, the decisions you make in regards to your children, and even with your spouse, if that person becomes your former spouse. How you behave, the decisions you make, how you treat them, how you interact with them during this period of time will also be have an effect on the long-term relationship, the co-parenting relationship. You cannot afford to just think about yourself when you have children, even adult children. Okay? All right. My next tip is to take time to heal and truly learn yourself. The reality is that if you've been married or you've been in a partnership, especially for years, there is a part of you that has to rediscover yourself, the things that you like, the way that you think, how you are as a standalone individual, because that has not been a part of your existence really for the period of time that you've been in this committed relationship, in this partnership. It should have been, it should be about the we. What are we going to do? How is life going to, what type of moves we're going to make? All we. Now it is just, it's you. And now again, it's an odd position to be in because you're not an official standalone single person, but you're in this weird in between space. But this is the time, especially if it is a traditional separation where you're no longer living in the household. Now, how do I want my place to look? What food do I want in my refrigerator? What do I want to do this evening, tonight? What, etc. It's even the little things like that. I remember I had to kind of even rediscover basic things like, oh, I changed this out of a compromise with my spouse. Something as simple as, the type of the chips I like or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I always like those thicker, but now it's like, do I actually still like that, or do I genuinely like this other thing now because I changed within this partnership to accommodate my partner? It's the little and the big things. So take time to heal. We talk a lot about healing, like that's a buzzword, and that's because it's a really, really real thing, and necessary. But I'll just share what I mean about healing, specifically in this space. If you haven't discovered by now, and if I haven't said it directly, and I think I have, I am a Christ follower. Some of you all might call that Christian. I like to say I'm a Christ follower because some of this, labeling of Christians, some of y'all I don't want to be associated with, okay? It's too much foolishness. And when I say y'all, I mean the institution, all of that. So I say follower of Christ, okay? I'm okay if you call it Christian. So the way I move, the basis, my mindset, the way that I speak is based on my beliefs, okay? My beliefs in Christ, that foundational faith, right? So for me, one of the major things that I don't know how I would have gotten through that period of time, or even the aftermath, had I not had a strong relationship with Christ. Okay. It had to get stronger because I had to rediscover myself and him, because worlds get turned upside down. Listen, especially if you are a person of faith and a person that has held like marriage in high regard, which is the person that I was. I grew up in the church, etc. I had other experiences, but primarily I grew up in the church. I was raised in the church. I had certain ideas about marriage, and divorce was not on the agenda for me. I had experienced it with my parents, and I did everything that I knew to do to avoid that. So when I ended up in a separation, which I did, I separated from my then husband. I left the household, okay? Not lightly, but I made that move, okay? That was an extremely difficult position to be in. And I was aware that I was not normal. I was aware that I was not in my right state of mind. I was aware I was at a crossroads. I was aware that I had to determine what type of woman am I now. No matter what happened in my marriage, no matter what, facilitated this separation, I have to go internally and have some really hard discussions and really intense discussions with myself and with God. And I had to rediscover and recommit to, it doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. This is about me and God. This is about my relationship with him. So when I say that, I think I said earlier that we're talking about rebound relationships. Yes, I tried to land on a little soft cushion there, but that was cut off pretty quickly. I mean, that junk was cut off pretty quickly because God knew and had to remind me of, oh, this ain't you. This is not you. You about to jump out of the frying pan into the fire. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But you, during this period of time, if you're going through a separation, you are, that part of that crossroads is, what type of person are you? What type of man are you? What type of woman are you? And a lot of people wild out at first, for sure. Okay. It may have been my version of wilding out, but trust me, it wasn't really wilding out. Trust me, it really wasn't. But for me, I had to decide, who are you? And are you going to let anything or anyone else strip you of who you actually are, and you put it kind of on that? This is some of the work, the inner work that has to be done during this time if you are going to properly heal and get through this state of being, of separation, without doing some really dumb stuff that's going to have long-term effects on your life and the lives of, this. It depends on what it is. Okay. So hear me when I say, yes, you are going to be faced with that. And maybe you don't go through it perfectly. Most of us do not. But the reality is you want to wake up out of that junk pretty quickly before you do something real dumb that you may not be able to easily come back from. Even for yourself. It's less to do with your spouse, more for you. Okay. The other thing, after, in terms of healing and learning yourself, rediscovering yourself, like I said, your relationship with God. If you don't have a relationship with God, and when I say God, I'm talking about Christ. Okay. I encourage you to get on that. Okay. Start even just from the asking of the questions. If you truly don't believe, like, this is one of those life-changing situations that is like, it's very appropriate to now deep dive into all of the things that maybe you're like, well, I'm not even a person of faith. I don't even believe in God, or it's a non-factor. Trust me, you're going to need God. You're going to need Christ. You're going to need some Jesus. Okay. But I also say, I believe in Jesus and therapy. Get you some therapy. Don't wait. Even if you feel fine, trust me. I keep reiterating, you are not normal. This is a separation, and especially if it ends in divorce, is a traumatic experience. I don't care how many marriages end in divorce. I don't care how much we've normalized it in our culture. It is not normal. It is a type of death, and it's almost, to me, worse than death because the person is still walking around here. It's an unresolved, it can be worse than someone actually passing away and being buried. And you know there's a finality to that. When you're separated, you're in this kind of a limbo state. Okay? I came across some videos, and somebody told me I should do something with it, whatever, but I did like some video journals while I was in that 2-year separation. Okay, I was in my, what I call my transitional apartment. I was renting a condo at the time, because that's another thing. If you're going through a separation and you are the one that leaves your household, try to go to a space that's not going to be hella depressing for you. Try to go to a space, having a living space, even if temporary, because it is temporary, because you're separated. You don't know what's going to happen. Try to be in a space that's at least comparable in terms of the level of living that you're used to. If you are unable to do that, it's going to be more challenging. You're already going to be facing some emotions, some challenges, psychologically and mentally and emotionally. So try to at least have a living space that will help with that. Gratefully, and it took me a while to find it, I was able to find a transitional space that was comparable, that I felt good in, okay, that I felt at peace in during that separation. So yeah, that's the extra thing. I didn't have that in my notes, okay. But therapy, get you some therapy. And even if, again, you feel like you're okay, go ahead and get some counseling, get some therapy. It is a roller coaster. It's a roller coaster. Even if you want it, even if you know that it is the best thing to do, it is still a roller coaster of emotions, of experiences. You need a professional to help walk you through that. Okay. Next, in terms of healing, surround yourself with safe, supportive, healthy-minded loved ones. And when I say loved ones, I mean relatives or family, because every relative is not family, okay? Every relative don't mean you all good. Every blood relative is not family, okay? Say la on that. Relatives or family, and platonic friends. Why do I say platonic friends? I do not believe in that get over one person by getting up under another one. I don't believe in that. I think it's very toxic and unhealthy. All it does is further complicate the situation. It further complicates you emotionally, physically, psychologically. I do not advocate that at all. It is an unhealthy way to go through a separation. It is also, it can be potentially dangerous for you, for your spouse, and for the person you're getting involved with. This is why I say part of the healing and part of the learning of yourself, you have to be good with you and you alone. Some of us, we want to cushion that with another person that we get romantically involved with. We want to cushion that with filling voids with another person that we get romantically involved with. Listen, That is not a healthy way to go about it. I encourage you to surround yourself with, what did I say? Safe, supportive, healthy-minded loved ones. Healthy-minded. That means someone that is not going to be reinforcing any foolishness that you may be on. A person who lacks the ability to see where you're at and try to guide you in a healthy way. And sometimes that guidance is just being there. Just being there. Helping you create new and positive memories in that space. I had a couple of people that helped me with that, loved ones, family that was there for me during that time. Okay. Also, again, I reiterated that it's not everyone, that even somebody that wants to be there, you have to really gauge who you expose yourself to during this period of time, because there are some people that, they might be low-key happy that your junk is imploding because of maybe their own personal issues. Maybe they have gone through a separation, a divorce, a breakup, and they glad that you about to come over there with them. Watch out for people that are quick to be like, forget him, F him, F her. Come on, let's go, and got you on some foolishness. Watch out for those people. They will get you deeper into a situation that is not healthy, and it's not going to help your situation. It won't help you get through what you're going through in a healthy way. Okay. Let's talk a little bit more about rebound relationships. Again, that's why I said, lean on loved ones who are related to you. Ladies, if you need male energy, you need to go and hit up your brother, your uncle, your cousins, your male cousins. Safe, sane male family. I do not encourage, and I'm trying to word this properly, that's why I do not encourage going to hook up with some dudes that now you are taking all of your feelings, your emotions, all of your hurt, your pain, whatever it is, and you're now trying to, connect with this person. That's where like trauma bonding happens. Soul ties happen because you're in a vulnerable, broken, traumatized state, whether you know it or not. And you can connect with someone in that broken state, and it depends on how far it goes. Some people, they take it really far. Thank God, which God do this to me all the time. He be cutting my junk off before I go over the cliff. And I'm so grateful because he knows me. He knows me. I'm so grateful for that. But I'm telling you, you can find yourself in a much worse situation, and it feels so real in the moment. Those rebound situations, that's the danger of them. They feel really real. Stay in a safe zone. Platonic friends that you do not switch into a romantic friend, like meaning that if it's and this is another thing I have, because I have male friends, I was like, this person has always been a safe person for me. Okay. So I was leaning on some of those individuals, but what you will find out is that some people may be a platonic friend because that was all that was on the table. Now here you are in this vulnerable position, and this person has always been a safe space for you, but they are a person of the opposite sex, and you find out that, oh, things come out of the bag when you're now in this in-between space, or on the verge of, or have broken up with someone, okay? Your marriage or your long-term relationship, and now sometimes other things come out, that this person has had other feelings, and you're thinking, oh, this is a safe place. I can have some male energy that's safe around me, but I don't have to worry about some of this other stuff. Well, sometimes you get surprises, so be aware of that. And I'm not saying people are on some bull, but they shooting their shot. Oh, she available. Let me go ahead and be that soft place to land, or that muscly place to land, whatever. Yeah. That's why I say mainly stick with family, safe, sane family. And, if you're a woman, your girls, your girlfriends, they have integrity, they got some wisdom, okay? If you're a male, your male friends, your boys, that can just listen to you, and that can, that's not gonna have you out here trying to, okay, well, let's go on and get, yeah, you're not them. The ones that's like, dude, let's just go get something to eat. Let's go watch the game. Let's go. They not trying to get you caught up in no mess. Okay? Those are the people that you need to surround yourself with. Okay? The other reason why I say the rebound relationships can be dangerous for you in your abnormal state, your spouse, because depending on how deep the thing gets, there's been, you have these love triangle situations. Again, you are still legally bound, or you still have unfinished business with someone. If you're not, if you're not married to the person, but y'all been living together, you still got unfinished business, and now you bring somebody else into that scenario. Things can get ugly quick, okay? And then, if not physically ugly, if not soul tie-ish ugly, the other part is that, and I guess this goes into the soulish part or whatever, the person you get involved with, it's dangerous for them. Many times these people, especially if they single, they can get really attached to you. They can fall for you. They can fall in love with you. And in that rebound state, you think it feels really real. You think you feel the same way. You think that, oh, this is refreshing, and a lot of times in those states, we are moving in the anti-spouse. Like, this person is refreshing because they're different in some ways from the spouse. But it can be the 80-20 thing. You got stuff in your blind spot. This person is 20% different, but it may be the 20% that annoyed you or was the worst thing about your spouse. And this is like, well, at least they ain't that, blah, blah, blah. But you're not even focused on the other 80% that is jacked up about this person, because you're just looking for your anti-spouse. Be careful. Be careful. Again, you can jump out of the frying pan into the fire. And people's lives have been completely derailed because they mismanaged this season. I don't want that for you. Okay? Yeah, you don't want to go around involving people in your unfinished situation, because a lot of times it's there are people that are they have bruised egos, and they're looking for someone to put some salve on that, some healing balm on that. You know, they're looking for, again, that soft space to land, that soft place to land. They're looking for, they may feel a sense of rejection from their spouse, depending on the situation. And so they're looking for someone to make them feel better, to feel accepted, to feel desired, to feel wanted, to feel loved. And in the meantime, what you're doing is using that other individual. And when you get through this, and get to the other side of it, you may not choose that person. And now they've been pulled in. They've been pulled in. It's not right. It's not fair. Now, again, a lot of people that are separated, a lot of times they think they're healed. They think they're over it. They think that they've moved on. This is just a technicality. But 20% of people do reconcile. That happens. So what happens when this person that you've now involved yourself with, and now you like, well, I still love my spouse, I'm going on back over here. Or you don't get back with the spouse, but now you're a little bit more healed. Now you're not as vulnerable. Now you're not coming, and you were just using them to cushion what you're going through. And now, where they may have been a whole regular good, good space person, now they got to go somewhere and heal because of they interacting with you, getting involved with you, a person that's not really truly available because you still are connected to somebody else, whether technically, legally, emotionally, physically. How many people who are separated from their spouses, they still sleeping with their spouse? That's when we lean on, well, that is my husband, that is my wife. Okay. We're leaning on those type of things. Listen, it can get messy. It can get messy. It is best to take the time to heal and to rediscover yourself. Okay. The last thing that I'm going to share, because this is, as usual, getting long, and, take it in doses if you need to. Please share with someone that you think could use this. Okay. That's going through this. Okay. There's another article that I found actually on a divorce attorney's website. Okay. But it's talking about, how do you know if reconciliation is likely during separation? So this right here is not only for those of you who are going through a separation, a pending divorce, you're separated now. It's also for everyone else who you find yourself interacting with a person who is not fully available. That's not only a person who is married that's separated, but a person who is in a long-term relationship, that is, meaning that they live with somebody or they've been with somebody for years, and then they're in a breakup season. Because some of those individuals, they do the breakup makeup thing all the time. And in between there, they pull you into the situation, and then they go through the cycle of, oh, they're getting back with the person that they've been with for years anyway. This is for you, okay? So you can understand what the signs that you need to also look for. A sign of reconciliation, you're still communicating. Now, if you're married, I'm all for it. If you can work it out, work it out. Especially if there's not, it's not an abusive situation. Y'all just, found yourself in this, the usual. If it's not an abusive situation, if you can work it out, work it out. Sign, you're still communicating. Okay. You've identified the problems. This is the next one, a sign that reconciliation is possible. You've identified the problems that need to be fixed. That means that there is some effort that's being put in on both individuals' parts. Both individual parts that, okay, we know where the missteps, where the issues are, okay? Third one, you miss each other while separated. Now, we know that, sometimes it's like, okay, you stuff can backfire, right? Sometimes separation reinforces that you don't need to be together. Unfortunately for me, unfortunately in my situation, fortunately, unfortunately, however you want to look at it, my separation reinforced that I made the right decision. Okay? No shade to him. It's all good. But there were things that continued to happen that reinforced that I made the right decision. So, but reconciliation for those of you all who are separated, if you miss the person when you're separated, and it's not just, it's one of those things where you can see, man, okay, wait a minute. Do I really want to live life without this person? Do I really want to live life without this person now that we have separated? And for some people, the answer is no. No, I don't. And I'm going to do what it takes to bring my marriage, my relationship back together. Again, but sometimes separation shines a light that, yeah, this is done and it needs to be done. Okay. Number 4, you manage to realign expectations. Maybe you gotten out of alignment. This is where some of the headbutting that ultimately led to separation was. You don't feel supported, or you have an expectation. Both of you all are working in the household, but you as a man, you are expecting your wife, your woman, to do all of the cooking, and she got tired. Like it's a drain on her, and y'all had to revisit that thing and see if you can come together and realign your expectation, make some adjustments. Okay, if you're able to do that, that is a sign that reconciliation is possible. Number 5, you value each other's support and companionship. This goes back to the fact of, do you miss each other? Are there things that you see like, wow, I'm pretty like my spouse usually does this. I'm really feeling that void, and it's not just, oh, anybody would do. It's like, no, that person, them. We would do this together. And now I really don't want to do this with anyone else. That's a sign that reconciliation is possible. 6, you start spending more time together again. So you see, it's levels to it. If you find yourself finding ways or reasons to spend time together, and you are feeling yourself attracted or drawn to that person again, and it's mutual, that's a sign. That's a good sign. Okay. Number 7, you notice positive changes in your spouse. Sometimes when we separate, it's like a wake-up call. Sometimes it's things that you've taken for granted, maybe things that you've just kind of got stuck in a rut on. And maybe it's some things that your spouse has been trying to bring to your attention that you've pretty much just, you may have ignored or whatever. And when the separation happens, it wakes you up, and you actually put forth the effort to grow. Not temporary change, but really like, okay, I need to take a look at my life for real, for real. And your spouse, because you all are spending more time together, they notice. And it draws you all back together. It's possible. Let me say this, and this is my last thing, and this is to all of us. If you know a couple that that are experiencing separation, a rocky time in their relationship, I put the addendum, I put the thing in, is that if it's not abuse that's happening, your position should be encouraging, supporting, and praying for them, helping them to walk towards each other, not to reinforce them breaking apart. Okay? There's no relationship that is perfect. So even if it is your friends or whatever, and they complain to you because you're a safe space and they listen, at the end of the day, do you know that when you, if the next time you go to a wedding, where you just attending, let alone if you're standing up in the wedding, if you're part of the bridal party, if you listen to the words and what you're committing to, what the minister is saying, you are involving yourself in that union. You're saying that I'm going to do everything in my power, even by just being a witness here to this union, to make sure these two people stay together and have a happy, fulfilled life together. I am not going to personally do anything to try to break them apart, or if they have a rocky season, I'm going to do everything in my power to reinforce the union. Again, I ain't supporting nothing where there's abuse, okay? Run, get up out of there with the quickness. But if there's anything else where it's, we just, we're growing apart, or we whatever, y'all need to work it out. Go get some counseling, especially if there's children involved. Okay? I hope that helped. Leave your comments in the below. Leave comments below, especially if you're going through this season. I feel you. I've been there. Thank God. I'm way past that, but I feel you. Feel free to reach out. Make a comment. What would you add to this discussion? And I'll see you next time.